The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, is easily one of the most respected films of all time. From its complex characters, beautiful scenery, interesting story, and great use of intercutting, this film is a work of art that has been studied by other filmmakers for decades. When looking specifically at the lighting in this film, one can see its obvious stylistic choices. Coppola worked closely with his director of photography, Gordon Willis, otherwise known as the Prince of Darkness, because he often would shoot slightly underexposed in order to convey a certain effect. This underexposure worked perfectly for this film because its characters are always working in the shadows. They are constantly hiding things and dealing with metaphorically dark topics, so it makes sense that the lighting would reflect that. Even though most of these mobsters are working in the shadows, with a closer analysis, one can see that each character is lit in a very specific way, which can in some cases shift throughout the film as their characters change their motivations or roles. Let's start with none other than Don Corleone, played by Marlon Brando. Most people are familiar with this character's iconic image and the way that he is lit from above. This angle of lighting creates a deep shadow in his eye sockets that almost hides his face completely. This is done because he is at the top of the company. Therefore, he has the most knowledge about all of the corrupt and dark aspects of the business, and has more secrets to hide. This also makes him seem more intimidating to the people he talks to. With his face constantly in the shadows, nobody will ever know what he is truly thinking, and they can't get into his head the way that he can get into theirs. Many of the mobsters are either only lit from above, or from one side of their face, always partially in shadow. This non-verbally conveys that they all have a dark side, and therefore have secrets to hide. This side lighting is mainly used on Tom, the mobster who is also a lawyer. He is constantly split between good and evil because of his vast knowledge of the business. Not every person in the family is fully aware of the dangers of the family business. Michael's wife, Kay, is shown in the light because of her naivety to the business. However, as she becomes more aware of it, her face slips into the shadows. And finally, she is shown fully in the dark once she truly understands the violence of the family business. In the wedding scene, all the naive and out-of-the-loop characters are shown fully lit as they dance around, not knowing about the conversations about murder that are taking place just inside the office. Even though Gordon Willis liked his underexposed scenes, he liked to contrast them with some slightly overexposed shots to add to the intensity when it switches back to the low-key lighting, and the viewers can see just how dark they really are in comparison. Now let's switch to Don's son, Sonny. Sonny is shown as very naive in nature. This is conveyed by having him fully lit and never in the shadows. He is fully exposed, which ultimately leads to his demise when he gets killed. When Don gets shot, this means that the role of the new Godfather must go to Don's other son, Michael Corleone. However, at the beginning of the film, Michael wants nothing to do with the family business. He wants to have a normal life and does not want to get involved with its dark and dangerous nature. In these introductory moments, Michael's face is shown fully lit. At this time, he is innocent and pure, and he hasn't yet been tainted by the violence and weight of the business. However, when Don gets shot and becomes ill, Michael has to step up and begin learning about the ins and outs of being the head of the business. During this time, Michael's face is shown half in light and half in shadow, serving as a transitional period. He is torn between being very hesitant about leading the business and not wanting any involvement in the violence and dirty money, and taking care of his family by continuing his father's legacy. When Michael is in Sicily, he is shown more brightly lit, similar to the beginning of the film, because he is in a more positive headspace and thinks he might be able to avoid the responsibilities of becoming the next Godfather. This continues until he realizes that he can never truly escape his fate, and we see his face return to the shadows in the following scenes. By the end of the film, Don has passed away, causing Michael to fully assume the role of the new Godfather. At this time, his face is fully in the shadows, shown even darker than his father's was. Just this subtle way of lighting Michael creates a full circle moment and completely elevates the story. The Godfather Part 2 continues to use lighting to convey the tone of specific characters or circumstances. This film switches back and forth between the past and the present. When showing Don's childhood, high-key lighting is used to show his innocence and how he hasn't yet been tainted by violence or money. However, when it switches to the present day, Gordon Willis uses even more shadow to convey how Michael has now fully emerged into the darkness of the family business and has completely assumed the role of the Godfather.